Gilgamesh Taggett plays the role of the iconic billionaire in the touring version of the musical that is on the stage at DeVos Performance Hall. Enough from me. I want to hear from you. Good morning to you, Gilgamesh.
Good morning.
That's a nice name.
Thank you very much.
I've never met a Gilgamesh.
Usually they're of Mediterranean origin, but the Celts used it for a while, and my family was Scottish, so...
Good. Oh, I like the Scott origin. Well, congratulations. Lucky to have seen your performance last night. You certainly, we'll call it, broke a leg and did quite outstanding. But you've been there, done that before. You've played this, your third tour?
Yes, it's my third time playing the role. I played it for 2 years in Cleveland at Beck Center for the Arts, a wonderful educational theater in the Cleveland area. And but this is my first national tour, and I'm thrilled to. I hit the jackpot. I mean, I'm working with Martin Charnin and Charles Strouse and Thomas Meehan's amazing script, and Martin himself directing. So this is just, and the cast is fantastic. It's an incredible ensemble cast.
How did last night go for you?
Grand Rapids welcomed us like champions. It was wonderful. I grew up I'm actually from Michigan. I grew up in the Thumb.
Nice.
So I warned my colleagues. Occasionally, sometimes Midwestern audiences will be a little quiet. Or as I like to say, when you're expecting laughter, sometimes you receive respectful silence, and that's not to be discouraged that it happens, and just keep rolling with it. Just play the play, like Martin says. And Grand Rapids, the audience was tremendous. They were excited right off the bat. And they stayed with us the whole time. And I'd never been prouder to call myself a Michigander than last night.
That's nice. Thanks for that. Well, Broadway Grand Rapids bringing this great musical to our stage. Opening last night, many shows playing through the 18th, a total of 8. You've got a couple of matinees and well, so stay healthy while you are here. We introduced this as an arrival with a revived message. Can you talk a little bit about the show?
Sure. Martin Charnin, ostensibly the creator of this property, the musical version of Annie, put it together with Strauss's music and Mr. Meehan's book back in '77. And it's had many incarnations, the TV movie, the John Huston movie, the current movie out right now with Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz, and including even 2 years ago, the revival on Broadway, directed by James Lapine. And excuse me, Mr. Charnin really wanted to get it back to its heart, just take it back past the glitz, past the glamour, past all of the flash, and get it back to what it really is, and a story about a people, the American people, in a really tough time, and in a time when everyone's optimism had been worn down to its last. And in the middle of all of this financial hardship and political hardship, there's just a simple message of endurance and hope and love brought forward by this little girl, and then place in that path the man who thinks he has everything and realizes he has everything he could ever want. But he doesn't have the one thing that he absolutely needs, which is the love, the honest, pure love of a child. And Martin really wanted to get back to that heart, that just down-home feeling, and he's really done so. He's selected an incredible cast of performers that I'm honored to work with, and he's been very clear about what he wants, and we've been very honest in keeping it true and keeping it fresh and sincere. And I think people will be thrilled. It's easy to be cynical. It's easy to be, well, it's Annie. We've seen it 100,000 times. And maybe somebody has seen it a couple hundred times. But every night's a new night, and every night's somebody's opening night. And I'm really proud of the work that this cast is doing, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And it's exciting to become a part of the lexicon and the legacy of such an amazing American musical.
It's great. Well, don't lose your voice. Here we are. The role that you play, I want to say, does it help when you have a couple of your own daughters?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so
yes.
Relating to Annie, tell me about who is playing Annie and how you are developing your courtship.
Izzy Swickle is, there are actually two. Our primary Annie is Izzy Swickle, and she's absolutely fantastic. We've worked very hard. I know that sounds silly. We haven't worked hard. We've enjoyed watching our chemistry develop through the rehearsal process and then through performances. And it's important to remember she's 9. And she's playing an 11-year-old. She's 9 years old, and she's carrying an incredible burden on her shoulders that I don't envy her, but she does so with a great energy and a great just excitement. And everybody has their learning curves, including myself. And the growth process is something that we as a cast have to do. But Izzy's fantastic. She's an amazing, as you heard last night, voice that is just phenomenal. Cuts right through all of the nonsense just to the core of the melody and the lyrics. And she also has an understudy, Adia Dant, who just celebrated her 10th birthday today. Happy birthday, Adia. I know you're out there. And all of the kids, they're just wonderful. And they keep us on our toes, not in that they're unpredictable, but rather that their undying energy reminds us that, hey, we got to keep ourselves on our toes and that there's always something fresh and new to find.
Tell us about Miss Hannigan.
Oh, Lynn Andrews. I would stand off stage and watch her. I wish I could go out front and really watch her perform. I think everybody's doing a fantastic job in this. But when Lynn and Garrett and Lucy hit the stage, they are, that's Rooster and Lily as well. They're just fantastic. They have, of course, one of the best songs in the show, Easy Street. It's such a just sweet, swinging number with such a malintent behind it, but it brings such a joy. Lynn is fantastic. She is a fearless actress with unbridled energy on stage, and she just sinks her teeth into Hannigan in a way that I've never seen before. And
I appreciated your relationship with Grace, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Still wondering if where's the relationship with with Daddy and Grace? Where is that going?
I'm curious myself as to where that started in the creation of the property versus where it is now, because it would be very easy for the developing relationship between Grace and Oliver to overshadow then the message of what the play is trying to say with Annie and Mr. Warbucks. But there are subtle things that are in there that Ashley's very good at communicating, and I think we've got a good silent communication. It's more a hesitation and a hopefulness with just again a peak of hope at the end with the for the girls and perhaps for all of us in taking her hand. It's not overdone. It's not heavy-handed. And I have to say kudos to Ashley, because anytime I'm on stage and for a second I'll just blink, or there'll be something like, for some reason I'm thinking of what I had for lunch instead of what I'm doing. If I'm ever feeling even slightly off-center, all I have to do is look at her. And she has these big, beautiful eyes, big as saucers. And she's projecting all of her intent and all of the I can't be afloat when I'm in a scene with her, because she keeps me anchored so beautifully.
Right. The scene would be Annie on stage at the DeVos Performance Hall now through Sunday. Check out BroadwayGrandRapids.com for more information. Speaking with one playing Oliver, of course, Daddy Warbucks on stage, Gilgamesh Taggett. Tell us more about you.
Oh, goodness. That's a difficult topic. I suppose the most honest answer is I've always been a seeker. I grew up in a small farming community in the Thumb in Cairo, and I never really quite fit in there. And this is a very fresh topic, because last night at the performance, my high school and grade school choir teacher, who I credit with all of how I learned to sing, Barb Holsworth, I give her total credit for building the foundation in me for that. And we spoke on how difficult school was for me, and just growing up in an area where if I want to be pretentious, I would say I'm an existentialist now. But really all I was just confused and asking every question that ever popped into my head when I was young. But it was, and theater was a real help in that journey of self-discovery, because in teaching the classes that I have at the Beck Center at Cleveland Public Theater, one of the things I've always said to my students is never judge the character. If you're playing whatever you're playing, if you're playing Father in Children of Eden, which is playing God, or if you're playing, Roach is from Wait Until Dark. Okay, well, yeah, he's a thief and a burglar. He's a horrible person. Well, that's easy to say, but the villain never thinks they're a villain. They're doing what they do for the right reasons, as is the hero of any story. And so theater has always been a guide in my life, even before I knew that acting as a career was even viable. I just knew I wanted to tell stories. I knew I wanted to communicate messages, and I wanted to basically project empathy to people, because that's how I was feeling. I was always trying to put my father always said, it was the old adage, until you walk a mile in a man's shoes, you have no idea who he is. And so I always tried to do that. And I think that empathetic view is what helped push me and encourage me into the area of acting.
We're glad you're doing that, as you will be continuing your onstage talents with us. Last but not least, as owner of 3 dogs, talk about Sandy.
Oh, Sandy and Macy. Macy is Sandy's understudy.
That's where I'm. Yeah.
Or Sonny. I'm sorry, Sonny and Macy.
Sonny and Macy.
Both proudly rescue animals. Bill Berloni, who did the first Annie back in '77, with at 19 years old. I can only imagine what he was like back then. He is a proud trainer of only rescue dogs. That is, he has a wonderful book, by the way, that's for sale in the lobby. That is a fascinating read. And Dustin Harder is his handler that travels with us. And these dogs are so well trained, and I swear they eat, sleep, and live better than I do. They're so well cared for, and they're both so loving and so gentle with the kids, and it's really actually good to have animals around, especially our lives are so transient. City to city. I mean, granted, we'll sit for a week, but the transient nature of our lives and sometimes the loneliness that can come into it, there's something wonderful about having those dogs there that you can just feel that, they're, the minute you look into the eyes of that animal, it's just happy to see you.
Well, I imagine it's also happy for you to see the young Annie wannabes in the audience and in the lobbies afterwards.
They're adorable. I can't get enough. I cannot. I see, as I call it, I see children of all ages at the end of the show. And it's wonderful to see anyone from age 6 to 60 just come out, and there's that shine back in their eyes, and they're tapping their feet and they're humming those songs. And it really is. It's not hokey. It's easy to be jaded and judgmental or cynical. But in a cynical world, I think a story with this kind of truth and heart to it is exactly what we need. And it's a beautiful thing to see after every show. And
kudos to the ensemble and more. Each role is close to perfect from your theater goers. Is there a website, an Annie website, or a personal?
AnnieTheMusical.com.
AnnieTheMusical.com. Do you have a personal website, Gilgamesh?
I do, GilgameshTaggett.com. Updating shortly, actually. I got busy with the tour and stopped doing that. But if you want to point and laugh, there's some pretty funny pictures there.
You bet. 2 pair of tickets to give away to you. 331-671-2. Leave your name and number. I'll get back to you if you're my first couple of callers. Area code 616-331-6712. Keep it fresh. Thanks for your presence in West Michigan. On behalf of Annie, the Tony Award-winning production, Gilgamesh Taggett playing Daddy Warbucks. Take care.